For Ethiopian journalist Kasahun Addis, writing his column in a weekly newspaper and assisting foreign journalists can be a dangerous task. He tells VOA that any reporting that challenges the existence or legitimacy of the government, or that criticizes the government on sensitive policies such as Ethiopian troops in the Ogaden region or Somalia, can have frightening consequences, as he discovered after filing a critical report.
I was called, I was asked to write a letter of apology to the Ministry of Information, and I was apparently intimidated, harassed. I was warned that I would go to jail.
In its May 2007 report, the Committee to Protect Journalists, or CPJ, blasted the Ethiopian government for jailing more than 10 journalists, mostly during and after the country's 2005 elections. Some are still in prison. CPJ says that 8 newspapers were banned, 2 foreign journalists were expelled, and a number of websites were blocked last year. Websites critical of the government are still being blocked. Observers say Ethiopians now have little choice on the quantity and quality of information they are able to get from the media. Yosef Mulugeta is Secretary General of the Ethiopian Human Rights Council.
We are not in a position now to see those media, free press, expressing views and people interacting about issues that has at least even remotely touched upon politics. The free press now we have is focusing on sports, medical issues and romance, things of that sort.
Mulugeta says there are very few private newspapers being published now as compared to before the elections 2 years ago. There is only one television broadcaster in the country, Ethiopian Television, or ETV, which is owned and operated by the government. 4 radio stations are also state-run, but the government granted licenses to 2 private radio stations in 2006. For its part, the government says it is committed to press freedom. But officials say journalists go too far in their reporting and end up supporting the opposition and trying to overthrow the government or incite violence. The most common charges against journalists are treason, publishing false news, and genocide, in cases where journalists are accused of targeting specific ethnic groups. Netsanet Asfau is Deputy Director of the government's Millennium Committee. She says there are many private newspapers in Ethiopia and that media can operate freely as long as they report responsibly.
There was a newspaper that said that had in it printed a material that said that a certain population should be quarantined because they are poison to Ethiopia. That should not be allowed, in my view. What would this create? Violence against each other among society.
Meanwhile, journalists' rights groups are calling for greater press freedom so that, they say, Ethiopians can better participate in their society. Kathy Maitani for VOA News, Addis Ababa.